This week's Parsha, Bo, contains the final three plagues, with Makas Bechoros finally cracking Paro's resistance. There are a few very well-known questions that have had countless commentary devoted to their discussion. First, after many of the plagues, the Torah says God hardened Paro's heart so he would not agree to let the Jews go. Doesn't this remove Paro's free will? Isn't this unfair to Paro and his people to punish them with plagues when Paro's heart was hardened by God? Another question is, it's clear from the narrative, from the Torah narrative, that God wanted Paro and the Egyptians to recognize God in the world. Many times the Torah narrative includes statements such as, so they will know that I am the Lord, and so that my name may be declared throughout the world. Countless places it says things like this. Why does God care what Paro or the Egyptians think of him? Is God a teenager looking for social approval or acknowledgement? A third question is, how can it be that only 20% of the Jews left Egypt and 80% wanted to stay, and they therefore died during the plague of darkness? After all the miracles and plagues, wouldn't all the Jews be gung-ho on leaving? So I think the second question answers the first question. God wanted Paro and the Egyptians to come to the realization of God's omnipotence in the world, that everything is created and controlled by God and interconnected. God did not want Paro to just surrender due to the pain he was experiencing or because he was subdued, because then he would not have learned anything. God therefore hardened Paro's heart so he would not surrender until he actually internalized the lesson. You can see this dynamic in villain and hero movies. For example, Beauty and the Beast, where the Beast, who's actually the hero in this movie, is fighting Gaston, the villain. When the Beast beats Gaston and Gaston surrenders, the Beast shows mercy and walks away without killing Gaston. When he turns his back on Gaston, Gaston gets back up and attacks him from behind because he thinks he might be able to take the Beast by surprise. When the Beast fights back again, Gaston dies by his own actions. This is a very common plot in hero-villain movies. And what you see from this is that villains surrender when they feel they can't win. But as soon as they feel they have an advantage, they attack again, even after they were shown mercy. So they learn nothing, but they give up only because they know they lost and they want to fight another day. This is basically why God hardened Paro's heart, because he didn't want him to just surrender without understanding, without this new level of understanding. But this doesn't explain the why. Why does God care what Paro thinks? We know God wanted the Jews to see his miracles and power, and this makes sense because the Jews were God's chosen nation and had a job to do in the world. This job required them to see and believe in God's power and dominion of the world. But why did Paro in Egypt need to understand this? So as I mentioned in past weeks, there is a pre-sin reality where the world is full of God consciousness, where people have faith and believe in God's control of everything, and they do the right thing because they are not living in fear. They fear God, they don't fear man. And then there's a post-sin reality where God is hidden and the powerful rule the weak, and the weak live in fear of the powerful, and they continually compromise their principles out of lack of faith. They feel they have to. They have to give in because that's the system. After God gave man a couple of chances to rectify the world and return to the pre-sin reality, and they failed with both the generations of the flood and the dispersal, God decided he needed a nation that would be able to live in that God-conscious reality, a nation that would then teach the 70 nations how to live in this way, the Jewish nation. And he also needed another nation that would epitomize the post-sin reality where the powerful rule the weak, the Egyptian nation. And then through the struggles of these arch enemies throughout history, the world will gradually be brought back to the pre-sin reality of full God consciousness as people learn and grow. But this dynamic and war between the two realities is also internal in each of us. And because God was creating a new ability in the world for the God-conscious reality to overcome the God-absent reality, through people's raising of their level of understanding and awareness, it was important for even Paro, the source of godless power in the world, and his nation, Egypt, to experience this flash of insight and see God in everything, so that for the rest of history, anyone would be capable of coming to God consciousness if they really wanted to. This explains why God wanted Paro and his people to know that he is the Lord and in control of everything. But how is it possible that 80% of the Jews didn't make it out of Egypt? And the terrible answer is that living in the pre-sin reality of full God consciousness is not easy, even in a time of open miracles and plagues, like in the time of the Exodus, because this way of living requires one to suspend their rational calculations and live with total faith. And these people did not want to live this way, praying to God for food and sustenance and knowing that it only comes from God. They much preferred to rely on their own careers and were happy to work hard in the Egyptian system and economy and have plenty of food, which it says that was their complaint. There was plentiful vegetables. So they were very happy, work hard, they're part of the economy, they're eating well. And today we have these same challenges where we feel we have to send our kids to university where they're taught all sorts of heresy and ungodly attitudes and behaviors so that they can survive and be able to earn a living, where we feel we have to go along with unethical and tyrannical mandates to keep our jobs, where we feel we have to take advantage of other people in business in order to make money. This is the post-sin reality where God is hidden and we make compromises with our conscience out of fear and faithlessness. Mashiach is on his way, and the world is experiencing plague after plague now. I suspect it will not get any easier. But realize, not everyone will make it. Some of us will die in the darkness. If you want to be part of the 20%, it's really time to get right with your Maker and live this life of faith. Shabbat Shalom from Renana, Israel.